All right. We're here today with Whitney Matheson. How you doing today, Whitney?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. It takes me a second sometimes to answer. How are
But
you? More importantly.
I'm good too. Like good seems to be the word. You used it 3 times. I'm on board. No, I've got we got the beat stuck in my head because I watched that Go-Go's documentary last night. How great was that?
It's the best. It's the best. It lifted my spirit. Gina Shock is the greatest. She every scene that she's in, everything she says, she made me laugh so hard. I'm like, why was I not worshiping her before this movie? And now I definitely am. I mean, I love them all. It's great. It's the greatest.
Yeah, she was fantastic. She just had a very good idea of everything that went on.
Yeah, and that poor manager, she
Oh
did
my goodness.
everything for them. She got their towels for the album cover. She returned the towels for the album cover and still kicked to the curb. So it's terrible.
It was so sad. I love that story about the towels. I
I
mean,
know.
it's such an icky feeling, like returning them, like 10 towels.
If only you had those towels today, they'd be worth so much.
They'd sell for so much on eBay.
I know.
Oh my
I know.
goodness. Oh. But Jane Weedland, oh my god, she's just such a fantastic pop star. Like just seeing her bouncing on stage, it was like, oh, this is
Oh,
wonderful.
she is the best. She's the best. And I used to see her at Comic-Con every year because she also loves comics. I think she made a comic at one point. Yeah.
I got to
So
get on that.
they don't come cooler than her. Yeah.
What's your favorite Go-Go song? Or let's expand this. Any song by a member of the Go-Go's included.
Oh golly. Um This town is our town. That song I like. Is that called This Town or is it called Our Town? I like that song a lot. Um I like, I mean, I guess if you talk about solo stuff, like, I mean, Mad About You, or anything from Heaven is, I mean, I had those Belinda Carlisle tapes. And then Jade Wheelan had some good solo stuff too, but yeah.
Rush Hour to me is like the essence of pop music. It's just so exciting. I
Oh,
love that song.
I do.
Yeah,
That is a good song. Oh, I haven't heard that in a while. But yeah.
it's so good. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had those Belinda Carlisle tapes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So, what was it that made you fall in love with music in the first place?
Oh, fall in love with music. Let me think. I mean, well, I'll tell you, I grew up kind of in the woods. I grew up in Virginia, and there wasn't too much going on. And so then, when you need, and there was no cable TV also when I was growing up. We had maybe just a handful of VHS tapes. So then that leaves you with the radio and it leaves you with music. So, and like the Columbia House record and tape company. So I don't know, maybe then because of that, because that's what I went to for an escape. And that's where I started to, slowly, when you're kind of in an isolated place, you figure out that there are other parts of the world, and there's so much going on. So yeah, and then I had an older cousin, still have an older cousin who had rad taste, and she turned me on to good stuff, and that's really important, I think, to
Yes,
have somebody.
my older cousin, he was 8 years older than me. Uh, I clearly remember I was 8 years old, 1984, him on the phone to my mother trying to convince her to let me come with him to the 1984 tour. And I mean, that would have been so excellent.
Yeah.
To my mom's credit, when David Lee Roth went solo and he was did the Eat 'em and Smile tour, same cousin on the phone, and that was my first ever show, David Lee Roth and Cinderella, and it
No way.
was
That's a good
amazing.
first show.
Yeah.
David Lee Roth and Cinderella. My first show, weirdly enough. So yeah, I grew up. There was like a small college in I grew up in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and my first show was Tori Amos at the local college, and a fake ID helped me get. You had to be like a certain age to get into those shows, but yeah, when I was in high school, like it helped to have like a fake ID to get you in those shows. I don't even know why there was an age restriction on any of them, but
Hmm.
yeah, it was a while before. It was like that was like 1990 or something, so it was a while before I was able to to go see a show. But I've seen so many since that I forget sometimes who I have seen and who, like, they all blend together. Although I've seen nothing, of course, in several months.
What was the last show you saw before lockdown?
That's a good question. I know I saw, but this might have been way before. I saw Jeff Tweedy at outside like Lincoln Center. I saw like Bowery Electric. I probably saw a few people there. I really can't remember. That's a good question. I know, like, I was seeing a bunch of plays right before all this happened because I wrote a play and I'd had a reading and stuff, and I was trying to like get it produced, and so I was meeting a lot of people and seeing a lot of plays. And looking back, it's like, when is that going to return? Theater's going to be like the last thing I think that comes back.
What was your play about?
Oh, my play? It was how can I guess I can totally describe it. It was about a very pregnant journalist stuck at home on bed rest, and she is visited by 3 influential people in one day.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So
go on.
I don't know. I mean, it's there are autobiographical elements to it. Yeah. And who knows if it'll ever it might see the light of day actually in another format. So yeah.
What was the title of it?
Bed Rest.
Nice.
Yep. So one day, several years from now.
I know.
I don't know. You just keep making the things. You got to keep on cranking out the things. And something's going to work.
So what are you making right now?
A lot of things, actually. I finished at the beginning of all this. I was working on this kids book about the Loch Ness Monster, and that's finished. Like, the almost final version is I just saw the other day. So that's nice. Fun. And that, I don't know exactly when that'll be out, but I imagine it'll just be like a few months from now. I've written 2 TV pilots. God, what else? So many things. I mean, I've also done like work, money work. I co-edited, the big project is I co-edited an anthology of comics produced during the pandemic called Pandemics with an X. And I have a comic in there, which is crazy. I've never had a comic published in anything like that before.
You've been busy.
So, it's how I stay sane. And I have to keep moving. I got to keep doing stuff. Yeah. So lots of things. And that's still available. I should, if I can just, I'll plug for just like 20 seconds.
Plug
and then we
away.
can move on. But yes, that anthology is digital, because right now it's easier to make digital things, and you can get it for $5 at patreon.com/pandemics with an X on the end. But yeah. Oh, and I do like a weekly newsletter. That's the pop culture newsletter.
I love your weekly newsletter. There's always cool stuff in there I want to check out. This week freaking blew my mind. Barbra Streisand's cover of Life on Mars.
See, I'm so glad that was new to you, because I was reading, so there's that amazing David Bowie graphic novel that just blew my mind, and I wanted to savor it so badly. Like, I took my time with it, and there's so many little things in there that I had no idea, and I was like, what is this common knowledge? I didn't know. Did you? And she's really the only person with the voice who can cover that song, it's something.
What I always liked about that song was on Hunky Dory, he posed the question, is there life on Mars? And then with the next album, he kind of answered it by naming Ziggy's backing band, the Spiders from Mars.
Yeah. You should read that book. I
put it on my list. It looks super interesting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Well, let's talk some more about pandemics. Like,
okay.
Have you drawn many comics yourself?
No, well, not until maybe like a year ago. So I was in New York, went to Tennessee for a few years to live, came back to New York. And when I came back, I started working out of a studio, which happens to have like more than a dozen cartoonists. So I was I mean, some of them are also writers, but I was working in the studio, many cartoonists, surrounded by cartoonists. And I think just by osmosis, I started doing, and I can't draw very well, but you honestly don't have to draw, like, you don't have to draw very well to make comics. Anybody can make comics. At least that's what I believe. And so,
well, you've proved it.
yeah. So I started making just little comics, a lot of kind of autobio stuff. And then and I did like, the biggest thing I did was like a full length comic about the life of B. Arthur, which is the world really needed, I think.
Of course.
And I posted that on my Patreon, and I think maybe some of it in my newsletter. But yeah,
I saw it in the newsletter. And I saw.
Oh no, what?
And you also did something about Maud in one of the mentioned Maud. Are you kind of obsessed with B. Arthur? Is that?
I mean, I don't know if I would say obsessed, but I do have great love for her in my heart, as should everyone.
Of course.
And she had an incredible life that needed to be expressed in comics form. And then along with that, when all this stuff hit, I started making little comics, just, I don't know, a lot of them related to what I was going through, or like things that were episodes, things that would happen with my daughter and I. So sometimes I just find it as a way of expression. It helps me to express certain things that maybe I can't do in like a longer, like short story or something, another medium. So yeah, I have one actually that I wrote that I need to, it's the drawing part that's the most challenging for me. But even though my drawings are very crude, it's still challenging.
Are you familiar with the artist Roman Muradov?
No, who is that?
He's an amazing sort of surrealist. His work is so beautiful, and I interviewed him a couple years ago for the Comics Journal. His work is very surreal, but he's a huge fan of The Fall, and Marky Smith is his inspiration for working. He's like, if there's a new medium he wants to work in, he's like, he thinks he's got to learn all this stuff. And then he remembers Marky Smith and thinks, no, that's not how you do it. You just get in there and you do it, and it comes out what it is, and it's going to be brilliant because that's what you put in all your energy into it. I will send you a link to his stuff. He is amazing.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, so I've done some comics, and then I started reading stories by Richard Brodigan. Do you know who that is?
I've been meaning to read him for years. Trout Fishing in America and
Watermelon
Sugar.
Yeah. And they're amazing, because I really had a hard time. Like this whole thing killed my attention span, and I had just a hard time. I still haven't made it through like a full novel or anything, but he has a book of short stories, and a lot of them are just a page or two. Like they're they're so good, and they're so just like, they're kind of strange and like stripped down. And anyway, his stories were really inspiring, and so they got me writing some short stories as well. But I found that's the type of reading, I think, that and lately I've been reading a lot more comics. I'm slowly working my way up to the attention span I had before all this happened.
Are you a JP Don Levy fan at all?
Oh no, I'm not.
He is one of my two favorite authors. I just finished his last novel last night, actually. It was wonderful. But whenever I mention Don Levy, people always say you should read Richard Brodigan. So I definitely got to read him soon.
Yes, you should. Yeah, I'll have to send you some stuff. You can read, there are a couple things like online, like stories you can read online. And yeah, his stuff is great because or at least for me, after I read them, I'm like, oh, I could, kind of makes you want to do your own stuff,
That's the best kind.
Yeah.
So is comics like a new thing for you, or have you been a lifelong fan? Or
no, I mean, I guess I didn't really get into I didn't get into comics when I was a kid. It wasn't until I lived in Chicago in 2000 I moved to Chicago, so 20 years ago.
Yikes.
And at that time, I mean, it's still true, but there were so many cartoonists in Chicago, and they also got a lot of, they were published, there were two alt weeklies, New City and the Chicago Reader, and I think both of them published comics, and through there, like, and just also there were like great bookstores, and Quimby's was there, and so it was there that I just started discovering and reading tons and tons of like indie comics, and a lot of kind of autobiographic comics too. So Jeffrey Brown and Linda Berry and Chris Ware, and so many people were working in Chicago then, and that started it all. And I became really interested, and that's when, and I was also working at USA Today, and I started writing about comics, and that kind of continued, and still now. So yeah, that's what started it for me. I was a little bit older, and I got into comics more through the indie stuff rather than DC Marvel kind of stuff.
Yeah, same here. Did you ever read Asterix?
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh, that's when I was little. I would read them because it was weird because my older cousins lived in Australia, and they kind of brought them back to me, but no one in the U.S. Had ever heard of Asterix. And then I dressed up as the Druid for Halloween one year, and nobody knew who I was. I finally just had to say, "Oh, I'm a wizard." I put so much energy into this like awesome, perfect rendition of his outfit, and nobody knew what it was. But
yeah, I love comics, and I love the people who work in comics. It's great.
It's so much work, especially to draw, because I mean, you can write them relatively quickly, and especially compared to like if you're drawing a page a day, you're considered flying. Like, it's so much work.
It's an incredible amount of work, and then you read it in seconds.
Yeah.
So much time, and everybody who works in comics does it because they just love it. They love it. And I don't know, they love it without, and most of them without the guarantee that they're going to profit from it even. And I don't know that that's true for every other medium, or for a lot of other people I've met. But yeah, it's great. I'll always adore and respect cartoonists enormously.
Have you read The Wicked and the Divine?
Oh no, I have not. I love that you're bringing up all these things that I can write down on my Post-it note.
This seems right up your alley. Have you heard of Phonogram?
Yeah. I have read. My brother is really into that series, The Wicked and the Divine.
Because it's the idea is every 90 years, these ancient gods come back to Earth, and they can live for 2 years. They're immortal, but at the end of those 2 years, they die. And this current incarnation, which is, I think, 2011, they all come back as pop stars. So there's one who's like Prince, one who's like Kate Bush, one who's like Bowie. It's fantastic.
Oh, wow. That sounds great. I'm right in the middle of Hicksville right now. Have you read that?
I have not, but I've heard.
And it's great, and I love it, but it's a little bit, I've been reading it before I go to bed, and I'm like, oh, I gotta be more awake when I read this. I need to put more of my attention in it. But yeah, I'm really into it. And then there's been like, what was it? Pulp, the Ed Brubaker book that came out a few weeks ago. All of his stuff just sends me into such a joyful place. And I don't know, he and Sean Phillips have a new book out that I haven't read yet either. But yes, there's so many things. And I'm reading the Chris France memoir about the Talking Heads. There's so many things. How are we gonna get through all the shows, all the movies? In a way, it's like, gosh, I hope they stop. It's nice that they're stopping production on these things a little bit. Give me some time to catch up.
I know, there's just so much. Oof. What's been keeping you going through all this? Like, do you have any go-tos that, like you're saying, just bring joy that you watch?
Oh, like TV or book? Like what do you mean?
Music, TV, anything?
Anything? Oh gosh, well, so many things. Okay, music-wise, have I been listening? Oh no, hold on. These terrible headphones. Music-wise, I feel like I don't know if I'm listening to too much new stuff. like the playlist. It's just a bunch of different like playlists. Like there's an of older stuff that I like. There's someone made a playlist of, you know, that book Meet Me in the Bathroom, about like all the like
Early 2000s.
early 2000s bands. Someone made a playlist of like every song that's mentioned in that book, which is insane. It's many hours of music. So I've been listening to that. But like TV wise, I'll get into something. Like I was into What We Do in the Shadows while that new season was on, and I was like, oh, this is exactly what I need to rescue me from, you know, my dour mood. I love that show.
It's
I love.
brilliant.
Do you watch it?
Oh my God, yeah. And yeah, I watched that multiple times, like keep me laughing, you know, a couple months ago. And the episode with Mark Hamill, oh my goodness. I could watch a whole Jacky Daytona spin-off series. Matt Berry is just so fantastic.
Oh, Matt Berry. Yes, I was talking about this the other day. Matt Berry is the best. He doesn't even have to do anything, or he can say one word and he can make me laugh so hard. Yes, I love him. I love that show. I love Toast to London. What else? Oh, I got really into, this is a weird one. But I got into Yellowstone. Do you know what that show is?
I don't.
Which is on like the Paramount network. It's on kind of a random network. But I watched it like through Amazon, and it's a drama starring Kevin Costner, and it's a brilliant ensemble cast. And I described it as like, imagine The Sopranos or Sons of Anarchy if they were in Montana. And it's, you know, it's like mobsters on horseback. So yeah, it's like a family drama that just by the look of it, like by the sound of it, I didn't think it was up my alley. And then a friend of mine said, no, this is really, really good. And it is kind of the best, like soapiest, crazy show. So I watched 2 seasons of that. And then I'm trying to think like movie wise, I don't know that I can think of like anything.
Again, the attention span to watch an entire movie, I've had trouble with. Like I'll watch like I'll be really excited to watch it, and I'll watch a half an hour and then like have to extend it over the entire week.
Oh yes, it'll take me like 2 or 3 days to watch a movie. I mean, I have Criterion, and I did get into like, they posted all these Martin Scorsese short films that I was watching. So I've seen mostly like shorter stuff on Criterion, but they've been posting like amazing stuff. But yeah, it's hard at the end of the day. And these days I also feel like I work, even though I'm at home, it's like I work around the clock. Like it's nonstop.
Yeah, because you don't have to stop to go home. You're already there. You just keep working all night.
I know.
Something I want to ask you, one of your big questions that you seem to love to discuss is, who are the great American rock bands?
I love this question.
Oh, good.
Yes.
And I think we'll agree on 2 of them.
All right, tell me.
GBV.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, I got the
top, probably top 3 for me, if not, I mean, for sure top 5, but maybe top 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it may be a top 1 tie for 1 with me.
Okay.
Oh, let's sidetrack on this for a minute. What's your go-to GBV album?
Oh gosh, look, I have sentimental, and then I have like what this is tricky, because the one that for some reason, because of the place in my life, Under the Bushes, Under the Stars, which that one is just one that I just listened to over and over again. I think it was I don't remember how old I was when that came out, but that has like sentimental place. But I don't know. Then in terms of hits, like my favorite song is probably Game of Pricks, or
it's my favorite song. Probably my favorite song of all time.
It's
in the top 5.
And everything about it is perfect. I did see them in Nashville right before I moved, and I mean, I've seen them a million times, but I was like, oh, it's so good to see
at
him
the Basement.
At Basement East, yeah.
2018.
Yeah, were you at that show?
I was there. I just moved to Nashville. It was my first week there. Oh my goodness.
Yep, that was a great show.
Oh, and like, yeah, there, I forget exactly, but like there were stretches in there were just completely brilliant. It was like Game of Pricks, Your Name is Wild, Gold Silver
Oh,
Robot Boy, like all in a row. It was,
and
oh my goodness.
I know. I know. And he's still like, yeah, all the high kit, like still totally got it. Okay, all right, you tell me, all right, that's tied for number one for you. Who else is it?
The Replacements.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, we totally agree. I was prepared to have an argument, but
Well, we might argue after that. I said we'd probably agree on two.
okay. Yeah, I agree on the Replacements 100%. Oh my gosh, perfect song. So many perfect songs. So still too so underrated, I think.
I watched that documentary. I mean, I've watched a lot of documentaries during lockdown, but I watched that, Color Me Impressed.
Oh, wait, color me impressed.
They're not in it. It's like interviews with people about them, which I wasn't sure would work, but it totally worked. And they gave like all the stats, like their record sales, which were so much lower than I ever would have imagined. It broke my heart because everyone should know those songs.
And I still have not read Trouble Boys. Have you read? I still haven't read it, and I need to. And yeah, I know.
It's intense too. I mean, the Stinson brothers did not have easy lives. And then I first time I was in Memphis, I got to visit Ardent Studios where they made Pleased to Meet Me, and I just read Trouble Boys, and there's a part in there about Tommy vomiting on the ceiling, and the studio manager was showing me around, and he pointed, he's like, "That's where Tommy Stinson vomited on the ceiling." I was like, "Yes!"
Oh wow! Oh my gosh! I'm trying to think. Who we might? Okay, I have a friend who worked at Ardent Studios for a while. I don't know if she's still there, and is Jody Stevens from Big Star at Ardent Studios?
He is. He was not there when I went out. They called him because I would have liked to have met him, but he was out and about. But it was weird. Primal Scream were there filming a documentary. I just kind of stopped in unannounced, and Bobby Gillespie answered the door, and I was like, well, "Hello."
Oh man, yeah. I mean, in Big Star, I would also put in my top 10, like one of the best American rock bands of all time for sure.
Yeah. Oh wow. Totally.
I know. And such not too many albums at all, but oh my gosh, they're flawless.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need that many when they're that quality.
Mm-hmm. Okay, who else you got?
Well, another band that recorded at Ardent, Afghan Wigs.
Oh yeah. I like Afghan Wigs. I saw them, or was it just Greg? Did they tour like 5 or 6 years ago, or was it just Greg Dooley? I don't remember.
Dooley did a solo tour in 2016, and then they also did for the Wigs album in 2017. So like I think it's been like back and forth.
I remember I saw him at the Beacon Theater several years ago, and I was impressed by how loud that show was. It's like one of the loudest shows I've seen. Yeah, Afghan Wigs that's a good one. That's a good one. Often overlooked, I would say, when you ask people about the great American rock bands.
Black Love is tied for my favorite record of all time. It's just a perfect album.
Wait, what's your other favorite record of all time?
1984, Van Halen.
Oh, right.
I mean, they were my first love. They were, I mean, I got into music because my mom would always play me like the girl group Motown stuff and the Beatles. But then I discovered Van Halen on my own, and it was just, this feeling of how exciting music could be. So I think we're going to just diverge here.
But I like to, that's fine. We can totally diverge. Okay. Where did you grow up?
Connecticut.
Okay. Yeah. I know nothing about Connecticut. I don't even have a fact. What's a band? Give me some bands from Connecticut. I can't even tell you one.
Oh goodness.
That makes me feel better.
Hate Breed. Like hardcore metal band.
No.
Jim from Superchunk went to college at Fairfield University and was in a band called Humidifier, which was really weird because in 8th grade, we had these cool 2 substitute teachers, and one day was like, wear your favorite shirt to class, and she wore a Throwing Muses t-shirt. And so me being super interested, I asked her, and I remember her saying, they're kind of scary. Like she knew like me and my best friend were really into music. So she brought in the 7-inch by her friend, and it was the humidifier 7-inch. And then years later, I realized that Jim went on to play in Superchunk. I was like, wow, I love Superchunk. It was really bizarre.
That's cool. I remember I had a babysitter who loved the Smiths, and I can remember her like listening to the Smiths and telling me like, "Isn't this the best thing you've ever heard?" And I was like, "Oh God, this is so terrible." And then of course, like later, I loved the Smiths, but yeah, when I was younger and first heard that bit, I was like, "What babysitter's bananas?"
My friend David Ryder Prangley, great musician over in London, has a theory, which is very controversial, that in their essence, Van Halen and the Smiths are of the same band. They had a guitar player who came along and changed the entire scene of music for what they're working in.
Okay.
And they had this extremely, flamboyant, outgoing frontman who is pretty misinterpreted. Like people think of Morrissey, and they usually think like he's really depressing and whatnot. But when you listen to Smith, some of those lyrics are pretty funny, and he had a really way with words. And people think David Lee Roth is a total goofball, but then you listen to some of the Van Halen records, and you're like, wow, this is I wouldn't have expected this from him.
I gotta say, my Van Halen knowledge is so rudimentary. It's like MTV knowledge. Like it doesn't really go too deep. So I feel bad about that, especially at this moment in our conversation.
I'll get over it. The Ramones I don't know if I would consider them a rock band. It's a tough call on that one.
Why wouldn't you? Oh, because you're saying punk. They're rock.
They were also, they wrote great pop tunes. I don't know if I would consider them rock and roll. I'm willing to accept that as an answer, but I'm not sure I would say it myself. Obviously, I love them.
I don't know. I say like leather jackets, tight pants, songs about sniffing glue is pretty rock and roll, right?
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
But it is true. My daughter, when she was very little, like 2 or 3, loved the Ramones because those songs are it's like 3 chords, so melodic, like easy to sing to,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What else did she like?
Well, when she was little, it was like Ramones, Beatles. She liked Blondie. She still likes Blondie. Right now, she's in a big Prince phase. She heard, which is great. She's 7 years old. She heard when I played her When Doves Cry, and for whatever reason, like it clicked something in her, and she just wanted to hear everything. And I'm so relieved that it's not crap that she's into, but like she has seen. I just have to believe this stuff she does, like stuff kids don't get. It goes over their heads, and she's seen some of the videos, and she was like, "Mom, the women in these Prince videos, they wear bathing suits so they can dance better." I'm like, "Yeah, that's it. That's true. So they can dance better."
That's brilliant.
Yeah, you can have good moves in a bathing suit.
Wow. When Doves Cry used to scare me when I was that age. I guess it came out when I was a little older, but I remember it being like odd, like not it was much darker than what else was going on the radio.
Oh, it's dark, but yeah, she likes it. She likes it so much that I figured out the chords on the banjo so we could sing it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway.
Were you ever in a band yourself?
No.
Oh.
No, I was not. I dated many, many, many people who were in bands, but no, myself, I never was. In fact, I was mentioning this to somebody the other day. When I was in high school, I had like several sheets of notebook paper on which I had listed potential band names,
like Robert Pollard did.
And so people would, if they're forming a band or needed a band name, they could come to me and I could loan them. And I still have it. I still have that list in a storage unit.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone take any?
I don't think so. No.
Oh.
No. Maybe one day.
I had 2 other contenders I don't want to leave the question. The Stooges.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. I have a friend who swears that that's number one, and I think that's totally valid.
Funkadelic.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a good one too. We're not
Excellent.
going to diverge.
Whew,
What are you
all right.
talking about? I thought you were going to say, look, if honestly, I was having this conversation with a group of people, and one guy said the Doors, and I was like, oh God, I don't even want to get into this. I didn't say anything, but if you were going to say, and this will probably, people might be angry by this, but yeah, if you were to say like the Doors are the greatest American rock band of all time, I don't know what I would do with this conversation.
No, it's two different.
I don't hate the Doors, but I don't think they're the, best
Yeah.
by a long shot.
When
Or
was
the
the last?
Eagles. If you'd said the Eagles, I'd be suspicious.
I do not like the Eagles. I don't get the fuss about Hotel California. I don't think it's a very good song. I mean, yeah. Anyway, let's put aside.
Moving on.
When was the last time you heard a band who you thought were a great American rock band?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm trying to think because, gosh, that's a good question. Who have I heard that I think? I mean, I listen to new stuff quite a lot, and I started like a playlist where I put a few songs every week from a band that I like. But I'm trying to think of someone where I've listened to like an entire album's worth of stuff. I mean, they're not really a rock band, but that band Khruangbin, do you know who I'm talking about? I'm sure I'm pronouncing them wrong, but it's KHRU, whatever. Anyway, they're out of Texas. If they're good, but I don't know that I'd call them a rock band. I don't know if I have a good answer to that question.
Oh man, I mean, it's tough, you know. I mean, there are really good bands, and then there's bands that kind of blow your mind, and they come along maybe once every couple of years.
I mean, I truly don't spend the time seeking out. I just used to, especially when I was, at my old bloggy job, would spend so much time listening to new stuff. I only listened to new stuff. I only watched and experienced brand new stuff. And I just don't do that as much now, partly because I just don't have the time, but also because I just keep returning. I mean, don't we always just return to the stuff we liked when we were 15 years old? I think a lot of us do.
Yeah, and there's only so much time in the day to listen to stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm a writer. Like I am around, when I work in the studio, I am around these artists who can work on their stuff and listen to music at the same time and be like working and discovering things and ingesting other things that way. And I just have a very hard time doing that. So when I'm writing, when I'm working, it's usually quiet,
I'm the same exact way. I thought there was something, maybe I should be able to do that I just had to try harder. But I'm glad other people have that preferred method of working because it's distracting. You hear a great song, you want to get wrapped up in it.
Yeah. So when I walk around, I can listen to stuff, but yeah, when I'm working, I really can't.
Have you heard White Reaper?
No.
They are my new discovery of this year. Yeah, they're kind of like late day My Chemical Romance mixed with the Ramones and the Misfits. Very, very catchy, very, very rockin'.
Oh, cool.
I fell in love with them this year.
Okay.
Discovered them through Letterkenny. Have you watched that yet?
Oh, I still haven't watched it. I haven't watched it, and there are an insane number of seasons. Like 8 seasons? Yeah.
But they have
so daunting.
They have a great soundtrack. I have my phone next to me to constantly Shazam like what's going on. I've discovered so many good bands through that. And it's hilarious. The writing is super good. That's been one of the things keeping me going through lockdown when I need a laugh.
Okay, good. That's good. Because I did go through all of Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
And I think there was another like comedy thing. And I do need that comedy in my life. I need a good like 30-minute end of day show.
This is perfect.
Okay, good. I'll get to it. 8 seasons. Whew.
I know. But it goes by quick. I mean, I'm watching him again. So my big question that I've discussed for countless hours at countless parties for decades now is, what's the best Cure album?
Oh, the best Cure album would have to be.
It's a tough one.
It, I might have to look at track. It's either Disintegration or Head on the Door.
Wow. Yeah, that is the answer I've arrived at after decades. Like Disintegration, I think, is the common consensus one, and it's hard to argue with Plain Song and Pictures of You opening. But lately, I've been thinking Head on the Door is pretty freaking great.
Yeah, it's one of those two for sure. I mean, yeah, those are my favorites. I mean, God, yeah, I'll love the Cure forever and ever.
I still have never seen them. The one band I think I've never seen.
I have seen them. The one band I've never seen is U2. I've never seen U2. And everybody else has. I feel like I'll get another chance, right? I hope.
Yeah, they seem to just keep. Yeah, I never have actually either.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better. Yeah, I've never seen that. That might be the one. I feel like I've seen pretty much everyone else. Maybe.
The one band I really would have wanted to see and won't is Love and Rockets.
Oh, yeah.
I saw one of the Bauhaus reunions, but Love and Rockets, oh man, I love them, and that would have been brilliant.
Yeah. Well, one day music will come back.
My last show, actually, before lockdown was, and my 12-year-old self would have loved this. It was David Lee Roth opening for Kiss. I'd never seen Kiss before, and I thought I should probably do it. They're my favorite band when I was 12, and it was insane. Like, it was so loud and so, like, even at the back of the arena, you could feel the fire from the pyrotechnics, and like, it was just a part of my soul. Like, as soon as they started the song, I knew exactly what it was. And we got bumped up to like 12th row because like we got seats way in the back, and then they wanted to fill the seats up front. So like halfway through, a lady came and gave us tickets, and we were like right next to Gene Simmons, and it was just brilliant.
Oh, I've never seen Kiss. That's a really good one.
Which has a question that has been on my mind a lot lately, which I'm going to ask you is, if you had joined Kiss for whatever reason, what would your makeup be?
That's a good question. I sort of envision, this is somewhat related maybe. I often think like if I have 0 tattoos. If I had a tattoo, what would it be? And I think it would probably, like ideally it would be some sort of like a dot line situation, like, you know, something geometric. But also I've thought, oh, I could have maybe like a banjo tattoo, maybe a big banjo. So related to that, I'm just looking at my face right now. Somehow maybe there could be like a banjo, like 2 banjos, like upside down.
I love it. Oh my goodness.
Eyes. Yeah.
And you'd have to be playing a banjo then, which would make Kiss such a bizarre band. I would love to hear it.
Yeah, that's why I kind of want to do a test run of that. Yeah, I think you should. That would be my choice.
Halloween this year.
What's yours? What would you pick?
I've put a lot of thought into this, and I finally came up with them recently. In Chinese astrology, I am a double dragon. I was born in the year of the dragon, in the month of the dragon. Ooh. So I think the double dragon and have 2 dragons coming up alongside of my face would be awesome.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, that's good. I can't really think of an alternative. I feel like double banjo, which could also be my name.
And I've been double dragon. We should totally have a Kiss tribute
album. Right. That's right.
Be huge. Oh man. I think that's all my questions, but do you got anything else you want to add to?
Gosh, I don't think so. This has been super fun, and I have to. My next couple phone calls are real boring, so I'm so glad.
Yeah.
that we had this little chat. I mean, I guess I could, if I'm allowed to promote myself. Over on the easiest thing to do would probably just be to go to my Patreon to get a link to my free newsletter and other things,
I
weird
highly
things.
recommend the newsletter. Good stuff. Weekly.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's at patreon.com/Whitney Matheson. So it's very, very easy to remember. So yeah, for free, you get like I post a bunch of stuff. And then if you want to throw me a couple bucks, you can get exciting things like the B. Arthur comic or a 5,000 word story about a middle-aged woman who wants to punch somebody in the face. Various bonuses. Yeah.
Have you ever punched somebody in the face?
No, I never have. And I've never been punched in the face. Fun fact. But something tells me if I did the double banjo makeup, that might change.
Then they'd get it on their fists and they'd be like, banjo fists.
Mm-hmm,
Another character.
There's a story there.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me. Enjoy your day. Yeah, I can tell it's very sunny where we both are in separate parts of the world. So yes. enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you. You too. And I'll be in touch about the Kiss cover band.
You do that. All right.
Bye.